Greetings, Internet, and welcome back for another episode of Putting Shells on Shelves. That's right, the show where I take a look at things and I tell you what I think of them. So, also, I should mention that if it wasn't obvious already, this show is me just kind of showing off my collection of Ninja Turtle action figures because, well, I have so many of them, and I want to do something with them other than just leave them standing on a shelf. So, I keep saying so much. This is a weird intro, isn't it? Okay. So for today's episode, if you hadn't noticed by the title down below, we're going to be taking a look at the storage shell turtles. Yepperoni. These guys are literally basically just the regular figures, only the people at Playmates decided, what if you could open a turtle like a book, and you could like put stuff inside the turtle and then close it up like a little coin bank. And so these figures are born. As per the usual, I'm just going to grab at random and then I will talk about it. So on your mark, get set, ready, steady, go. I'm just going to grab the first one that I laid my hand on, which just so happened to be Leonardo. So, as I mentioned initially, the big gimmick with these figures was the fact that their shells open up. So we'll open him up and get a look at what's rattling around inside, if you hadn't noticed. He's got a bit of a rattle going on. So inside of the figure, you could store their ninja stars on this little peg over here. They also came with like little knuckle daggers, some of them did, and each of the four brothers came with a different pizza. Like Leonardo here came with what appears to be either tomato or watermelon, cherries or cherry tomatoes, and pineapple with pesto, I'm gonna say is the green stuff, unless that's supposed to be like ooze. He also, there we go, got him to close, and I did not break him, no matter how bad that clack sounded. He also came with a few other accessories. He came with this grappling hook thingy. He came with an opossum, I think? No, armadillo. An armadillo that he uses as a club. And he was supposed to come with swords, I believe, as evidenced by the, sword holster on his back. But unfortunately, at this time, I do not own those accessories. So we had Leonardo, who has a really cool face sculpt. Just kind of like, he's got like this weird, like, kind of grin going on. Either that or he's in pain having all that stuff shoved in his back, like squished up against his organs. Who can say? There's not really much different about these figures than there would be to say, like, I don't know, the original 88 figures. And I don't mean the original 88 figures as in the original 88 out of 100. I mean the original from 1988. Other than, like, the face sculpt and the fact that their shells open. You can see, like, there's no special outfit or anything. His belt is blue to match his aesthetic and, his colorations. And that's really all there is to him. Although there is one thing that differentiates these guys from the other ones. The other figures have like a ball and socket joint at the legs, but since these guys have that hollow inside to put the accessories in, Playmates Toys couldn't just, put a pelvis, we'll say, in there. What they wound up having to do is similar to several other figures. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but they have the legs on just the same kind of rotating joint as the arms. Only obviously instead of moving up and down, the legs move outward. Don't want to move him around too much because it gets pretty hard to get these guys to stand after a while, especially with all that junk in their back. Alright, so that was Leonardo. Moving on to another random figure, eyes closed, so I can't tell who's who. Ah, Next we have Michelangelo, of course sporting his orange belt with his initial on it. And on the back he's got holsters for his nunchaku, which mine only has one of his original nunchucks, but that's just the way it is. Obviously, like his brothers, his shell opens up, and he's got a similar, not one-to-one, but a similar expression to his brother Leonardo. The only real difference being that, one side of his mouth is open just a little bit wider than the other, as evidenced by the fact that you can see gums on this side, but no gums on this side. And of course, the expression is ever so slightly different. Like Leonardo here's got kind of the people's eyebrow, like going on, and Mikey here's just kind of like See, it's like and Leo's like, well, no, like it's almost impossible to make that expression because their lips are stuck together at the front and then the teeth showing on the sides. It's very, very awkward. But yeah, so we'll move on to the accessories with him, or what few I have. Let me double check. Yeah, he's got some in there. Just pop his back open. Ooh, I almost dropped one. And as you can see, just like with Leonardo, you can put the ninja stars on the side, and then you stuff all the rest into his back here. He's got a sickle for some reason. He's got a grappling hook, and this one still has the string on it, which is nice. He comes with a flashlight for some reason. And the pizza that he's supposed to come with, which is anchovy, sunny side up eggs, and peppers, is what it looks like. Oh, fun fact. A while ago, the pizza chain Pizza Hut, I think it was, had a kind of pizza that they were doing. Isn't that just odd that a pizza chain would be making pizzas? But it was one where it had the... sorry, I'm trying to get this in there while I'm talking. It's not working so well. Okay, got it. But they had a specific kind of pizza that you could get that had little bitty breadsticks that you could pull off. It was the crust, but you could tear it off, and it was like those garlic bread bites, garlic knots. It's like those garlic knots, but they were part of the pizza. And yours truly, having looked at some images of them, thanks to a couple of different retro YouTubers, I put together in my head, looking at how the pizzas looked and having that spiky outer edge, that those, the topping choices that they came up with for those, were very reminiscent, if not supposed to be imitating, these accessories. Editing me, go ahead, if you can find that picture, just pop it up right here on the screen. See? Pretty similar, huh? It's got the weird spiky edges on the outside. It's got the odd topping choices on the inside. So there you go. And speaking of odd topping choices, Donatello's here isn't really that odd. It looks like sardines, garlic cloves, and beans. Okay, the beans are the odd one out. And then of course he comes with a fish knife, which looks like he just took a dead fish from somewhere in the sewer and just rammed a knife down his throat and then just tied it there so the fish couldn't just spit it out. Well, in this scenario the fish was already dead, so how could it spit it out? He also came with a little hatchet, and obviously he came with ninja stars that would have been able to be attached on the inside of his shell like this. He also came with a slingshot for some reason, and he would have had his bow staff. Sorry, it's been a while since I've eaten breakfast and I'm starting to get kind of gassy, I don't know about a lot of you, but I get the hiccups pretty bad when I don't eat for a good while. I also get the burps, but you know, you don't want to hear about those. And yet, you keep watching my fun size reviews. Don't mind me, I'm being silly. Okay, so just like his brothers, Donatello here, he has his back that opens up like I just demonstrated. He has his corresponding color for the belt and all of his like knee pads, elbow pads, and bandana. And his legs and arms are all hinged the same way, you know, like rotates like this. It's not on a ball and socket joint like the usual Ninja Turtle figures. And he has a great expression. I mean, just look at that. That is more of what an expression should be, you know, like, ah. Although he's got kind of a, like, ah, kind of thing going on. It's like, now I'm just being weird. I'll stop now. Wait a minute, I can't stop being weird, because weird is who I am. Weird is what I do. Weird is this channel. If you haven't picked up on that yet, I am a weird individual. So anyway, yeah, that's been Donatello with the storage shell. And this figure was actually released twice. There was the original release, which I think I spoke of with the 1991 figures before. Wait a minute. Just give me 1 second, folks. I gotta go to the phones. Because, again, I don't want to be talking out of my butt here. Okay, yeah. He was released twice, like I was saying. There was the original release that came out with the basic series of the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle figures, wherein he was in this lineup. You can kind of see him right there in the middle under Scumbug and Triceraton, and right next to Slash. Now everything's going to be red. Ooh, spooky. But there was that original release, and then they re-released him with these four. I guess they were just testing the waters with a storage shell turtle, and when this guy turned out to be popular, they're like, let's make the rest of them, come on. And so they did. Alright, now moving on from Donatello to the last figure on the table, and I do mean it, this is the last one on the table. I don't own any of the variants. We have Raphael with the storage shell. See a little hinge sticking out there? So with this Raphael, he has that same, kind of awesome facial sculpt going on. This guy looks like he means business. When he's done eating pizza, he's gonna come for you. If you're on the side of the foot, or just any villainous organization, he's gonna kick you around some. Now this figure, he came with a few accessories, as did all three of his brothers. Unfortunately, I am missing the majority of his accessories. I think he might have a star in there. Let me just pop him open real quick. Okay, yeah, I got two of his accessories, although I can't confirm this, but I believe he's got the wrong pizza. It's the same one that Donatello had. And there's his ninja star right there. He also came with his signature size and a puffer fish on a chain like a flail. So yeah, there you go. Now the only variants that I'm currently aware of for these figures is a set that was released, a re-release set from the Ninja Power re-releases around 1998, I want to say. Right around the 10-year anniversary. Were literally just these same exact four molds. You know, Leonardo, Donatello, Mikey, and Raph. But instead of having their belts be the corresponding color, all their belts were molded in black. And that's the only difference from what I know. I'm sure there were some that came with like collector's coins and some that came with like a collector's card, but I don't care about that. I just care about having the figures in my collection. And that's really it, really. I'm not worried about if they're super extremely valuable. I don't care if they're rare. Well, I mean, I do care a bit because, you know, the rarer the piece is and the more valuable it is, the harder they are to get. And that's frustrating. Because I've gotten all of the quote-unquote common figures, aside from a couple of the harder to find figures that I just got friggin' lucky that just like wound up in my collection. But yeah, so I think that'll about wrap it up here for the storage shell figures. And on that note, if you like what you've seen here today, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that little bell icon to be notified of future uploads. Once you are subscribed, you'll be glad you did. Feel free to share my videos with your friends. If you think they'll like them, heck, if you're not sure, share it anyway. You could be surprised. And with all of that hullabaloo out of the way, this is your old buddy Oxleymations saying, Cowabunga, and I'll see y'all in the next episode. Later.